There is an aspect to this story, the Charlie Kirk assassination event, that I think everyone on both sides is missing. And the reason they can't see it is because it doesn't fit a political narrative and it doesn't tie into the assigned emotions people believe they're supposed to have. Now, I feel horrible for the man's family. I truly do. I lost my father young. I wasn't subjected to what those children were. But believe me, not to sound redundant, but they are definitely in my thoughts and prayers. But I've waited a few days to let things calm down a little bit to share this. But it was really kind of the first place my mind went when I saw what happened and who they're alleging did it, and knowing a little bit about the community that that guy was a part of. It comes down to something that happened, what is it now, 43 years ago? That left a lot of so-called experts with eggs on their face. This is long before the internet. Real quick, though, God bless, as always. We're not guaranteed tomorrow, are we? I think that's one big lesson from this. God bless all of you who've joined us at Patreon, keeping the channel going. The only reason I'm still here is because people have stepped up over there. I really thought, I prayed about it, about doing this video just for Patreon, and I might do a version of it for Patreon. But I think we need to get the truth out there. If you'd like to join us over there, there's 4 levels. Whatever God puts on your heart, the links are down in the description box. Fully and completely refundable first 90 days. No questions asked. Let's get right to it. How many of you out there remember way back in 1982 when John Hinckley tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan? Now, this is before the days of Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and all this kind of stuff. And there were people wondering, he had only been in office for about a year, and he was a Democrat governor of California that had turned Republican president of the United States. And people were commenting for at least a very short time about how his politics might have entered into it. Well, John Hinckley Jr. was only attempting to imitate something he saw in a movie to impress a girl who was in the movie. The bizarre story of John Hinckley Jr., the man who shot Ronald Reagan to impress Jodie Foster. He was apolitical. John Hinckley Jr. didn't care about politics. He was trying to impress a girl. He had been stalking her for a long time and sending notes and messages and all this stuff. Just real quick, I'm going to read through this. Throughout the late 1970s, early 80s, John Hinckley Jr. grew increasingly obsessed with teenage actress Jodie Foster. He was especially fixated upon her 1976 movie Taxi Driver, in which a loner attempts to assassinate a presidential candidate. By the end of 1980, he was stalking Foster and sending her a series of disturbing letters. In the following year, he made his most daring move yet when he tried to impress Foster by emulating Taxi Driver and attempting to assassinate President Ronald Reagan. Mere hours, I'll let you read the rest of this if you can freeze frame it. I'm not going to waste a bunch of time. Point being, the man back in 2016 was let out of prison. He's a fairly harmless old man right now. He apologized to her for it. And that's what the story was. It was just that simple. Now, let's fast forward. There's a huge group of young men on the internet right now called incels. And they are wickedly violent. And it has to do with the fact that, I'm just going to say it out loud, incel stands for involuntarily celibate. They have never gotten laid. Ever. And they feel, and there's a large group of them, that it's a large conspiracy against them. That they are being unfairly put upon, and it's a conspiracy on behalf of a certain level of woman to deprive them of what they are entitled to. Now, I know a lot of people are already typing, but just stick with me here. This guy, who allegedly did this, was attached to that group of people. Now, I know a lot of you like, wait a minute, hold on. He had a furry friend and he was trans and all this kind of stuff. You see, for these guys, that is a safe harbor of last resort. Once their hate eats at them so much, they give up. on attempting to even pursue women to the point where they hate them. They loathe them. Now, you're probably asking, what does this have to do with Charlie Kirk? Charlie Kirk was married to, of course, his wife, Erica. Erica didn't always look like this. She's a mom. She looked just like a mom. This is Erica Kirk, Miss Arizona. This is Erica Kirk, Miss Arizona. This is the ideated fantasy of these incels. The perfect woman that has guaranteed they will never get laid. I personally believe this was a jealousy thing. Why? Because Nick Fuentes and Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk and all these guys have a huge following amongst that group. Charlie Kirk, very average looking Joe. Not ugly, but not super duper duper handsome. I think he would even have said, God rest his soul, that having achieved this young woman as his wife, that he was punching way above his weight class. She's way out of his league. Very, very lucky man. Very beautiful woman. And if anyone else still typing, not her fault. Not her fault. Not her fault. Not any woman's fault for this. That these incels exist. And they probably would have seen this as a type of a sellout. The man was incredibly wealthy, had an estate worth $12 million, one of the most absolutely beautiful women as his wife in the world, 2 beautiful children, almost as if, he would have no longer have a reason to be angry or have any hate to fuel his rage and fuel his existence like these guys do. They would have hated him for this. They would have loathed him for this. In fact, there's some that even say that it's better to have a good and decent, self-hating, self-loathing gay partner than it is to even, if you have a chance to get laid, to go have sex with a woman. This is the root of a lot of this trans homosexual nonsense. Is this inability, and this has a lot to do with the internet, a lot of reasons, but this is what fuels that level of hate. Because there's no single one thing that Charlie Kirk said ever in his career that would have probably stuck in that guy's craw anything more than anything else. But I tell you what, the one thing that would be this. This would be something that these guys would look at over and over and over again and go, how did this average Joe, who just has, average looks, goes out in his jeans and his t-shirt and with his microphone and discusses things, that we all believe anyway, discusses all this stuff, but he gets paid ginormous amounts of money for it, huge amounts of money for it, and he has this beautiful woman as his wife. That would make a lot of guys angry. That would make a lot of guys angry, and they would want to lash out at somebody. Well, if I can't have it, neither can he. And look, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, and there's a lot of evidence out there, for there being other people involved in this, and I still have questions about the gun. The kid being 22 years old, where did he get? I didn't say that he had to be a trained sniper, but he still would have had some training. There would have had to have been some level of training, and I've seen so many conflicting stories about the 30-06, and the wound that I saw appear on this young man in the video that everybody I'm sure has seen by now doesn't look like it came from a 30-06 at 143 yards. So there's that. But nobody's talking about the incels. They're talked about in virtually every other event like this, and nobody is talking about them. And I truly think, this was the beginning, the festering of this. Well, what makes men snap and go pick up a gun and go into a hopeless situation like that, it's another video for another day, but it didn't bother John Hinckley Jr. one bit that Reagan's entire entourage was heavily armed. Ronald Reagan's entire entourage was heavily armed. That did not stop John Hinckley. Not one bit. Did it? This guy knew. This guy knew there had to have been armed security. Did it stop him? No. Everybody in the crowd could have been armed. Wouldn't have stopped him. So, just saying, people need to stop, think a minute, take a breath. And let me say it very clearly again, not blaming Erica Kirk for being in a pageant. Not blaming her for her looks, not blaming her for any bit of this. But there is a group of guys out there that would. There's a group of guys out there that would see an Erica Kirk being married to a guy like Charlie and say that's just beyond the pale. That's just can't be tolerated. We can't let him have his happiness. Can't let him have his wonderful, beautiful life. So, I will leave that there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. Join us on Patreon. Love to have you. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.